Jordan Peele, you think, what's a funny guy gonna know about making a horror film? Because from the trailers, the way it was presented, the way it was brought up and discussed, it was never told to us that it would be strictly a comedy, a dramedy, a black comedy, literally, and or, because of the tone and nature, a black comedy otherwise, or anything as far as what we got concerning the end product, the actual film itself. So I'm sure, perhaps, when people, reviewers, critics, audience, whatever, when they sat their ass down in the theaters or afterwards TV, however they fucking viewed it, for the first time, and had this one kind of mindset going into what they were about to watch, and got flipped on their head, and it was totally something different by the end of the thing, I think that's the whole movie's point of even existing. Because listen, there's a lot of shit nowadays as far as remakes, series, movies, whatever, too. No idea is original, obviously, but there's no risks being taken anymore as far as like everything is defined within its genre at this point in time. Like there's, again, no risk being taken. It's nothing like the 90s when you had all this different shit coming out. It either hit or miss, but the ones that hit always stood as being unique primarily and their own thing secondary. But this is definitely one of those pleasant surprises from within the last 5 years, or at least since the turn of the millennium, movie-wise at least, that's just been, it can't be defined, it can't be boxed in into just one thing and or genre even in this case, which is amazing to me and I admire a lot. But also, it's just not something to be, I guess, stereotyped. I guess the best way you can describe it in terms of the movies and how that's concerned. But yes, now we'll get into it. All right. So, this thing opens up dark, outside, suburb type setting, suburbia looking environment with, of all people, Lakeith and or Andre, Lakeith Stanfield, shouts to him again, walking through as he said it himself because he's talking on the phone, a creepy, confusing ass suburb at night. It's pitch dark. It's pitch black. So black, regardless of your skin tone and or color, you can't even see your hand in front of you as hard as you try to look. In pitch dark night in a sketchy ass looking suburb. He's there on the phone. He's trying to find his way. He's trying to make his way around. He's giving himself directions, trying to talk out loud to see where he can place himself, where he can find himself. This is a good point he makes while he's talking out his directions. Because at some point, he is saying, why would they put Edgewood Way half a mile away from Edgewood Lane? There's Edgewood Way and Lane. I'm here in Queens, New York specifically. A knock on Queens, which I never have a rebuttal for, or I can make sense of, is why are some of the streets so confusing? Because Brooklyn, at least let's say, for example, by the Barclays Center, there's always like a thing where it's kind of like Russian roulette, whichever way you turn down this block, you could be heading to the projects, you could be heading to the hood, you could be heading to like a Jewish neighborhood, you could be heading to somewhere in between, intermediate, whatever too. It's really confusing. But with Queens in comparison, you've got blocks, like one block in, let's say, Corona. There's one of those that exists. I have to find it because I felt like it was my own personal get out as far as like the sunken place, because one end of the corner is 103rd Street on a block, mind you, which might take you a minute or two, maybe let's say 3 if you're like disabled, crippled, whatever, who knows what, or old. On the other end of that same block, as I mentioned, starting off 103rd Street, let's say, at the other end of that block, by the time you get there, somehow, is 108th Street. So where are those 5 whole streets in between 103 and 108 that went missing? How did you, time jump or get sucked into some vortex which just transported you of 5 whole streets in a matter of 1 minute to 108? Or more recently now, since I live here in this neighborhood for like the last 5-6 years, Rego Park by Queens Center Mall, there's 63rd Drive, there's Queens Boulevard, and then the further, I guess, south you go, there's 63rd Road. But then people, of course, get it mixed up with they'll send you to 63rd Drive for something, but then they meant to say 63rd Road, and Google Maps will still confuse it. So why would you do that so close within each other? Why not just make the whole thing a drive, 63rd Drive, since it goes all straight, and the only thing, I guess, cutting through it would be Queens Boulevard, which is a big enough fucking street, block, whatever. But it doesn't really mean that you gotta split it. Okay, it made it up to here, it's road, and then after we go past Queens Boulevard, it's gotta be drive, because that's what makes sense. No, just make the whole fucking thing one straight, narrow path, a drive and or a road. But he's got a point there. I don't know why they would do that. I know a bunch of fucking times it happens, at least daily, whenever the fuck. That's besides the fact that on Queens Boulevard, which used to be known as the Boulevard of Death, because people would literally die. People, not a person, people would die every day trying to cross simply at the corner like they should. And I'm not talking about the New York stereotype of jaywalking or purposely blowing the lights, whatever, too. No, I mean, standing on the corner, I seen an old lady get plowed, get fucking thrown up in the air like someone was tossing up pizza dough in a pizza shop, hang time, then come back down. The guy hits her. She's up, gets hang time enough to get hit by the front of the car, and when she comes back down, she's rolling off the back of the car. So either he moved real slow or she moved real fast. I don't know. But point is, point blank period, he fucking did a hit and run. That was years ago, so no one fucking took down the license plate number. I'm hoping that's when they had the cameras up on Queens Boulevard there too, and they caught his ass or something. But it happens. But it gets confusing. And you know what contributes to that shit too is the fact that Queens Boulevard isn't clear in the directions it goes. So you got people cutting into fucking reverse ways, wrong ways all the fucking time, and of course people get hit that way too. But I digress, I'm sorry. The point is, he's making a very good point. Why put way and lane so close within each other? Easily confused. So it probably looks like, and he's sketchy himself. He's like scared, like obviously he's frightened or like a little disturbed. Like, am I on way or lane? Why would they put it so close together? Because I could be on way, but I meant to go to lane instead. So he's already confused automatically. While all this is occurring and he's on the phone trying to figure it out, there's a random white car that makes his way down the opposite direction of where he's going. But at some point too, while he's talking, the car makes a fucking U-turn and pulls up very slowly on him, basically following him. So he's like, wait, what? What's happening? He can see it, he can hear it happening. He's already shooken up because he's already in that sketchy ass little suburban neighborhood, and he's probably not supposed to be there. Not just because he's black, but just because it's so fucking dark, late at night, and he's got no sense of direction of where he's going at all. As the car is steadily approaching him, you start hearing this music coming out of it too. And it's a matter of fucking, what is it? Run Rabbit Run. Which is oddly enough playing from a snow white car. You can't see inside. The windows are tinted or whatever. So you can't make it out to see who's driving, what color the driver is. Next thing you know, the car pulls up further ahead of him. He makes a U-turn himself and walks into the opposite direction because he's like, I am getting suspicious, so I'm going to fucking walk another way to see if I can throw this person off. We can't assume genders either nowadays, at least anyway, 5 years later, surprisingly. When he least expects it, he fucking looks this way, there's nothing. He looks back at the car that's already past him. The driver door is open. There's no driver. He didn't see the driver get out at no point either. We don't either because the angle that cut didn't allow us to see who the driver was when he got out. All of a sudden, he looks to the other way, and he gets blindsided by presumably, of course, the driver from the white car. Takes him out, probably puts some chloroform on his fucking mouth, knocks him out, drags him to the fucking trunk of the car, throws him in there while this Run Rabbit Run song is still playing. And then we get the fucking cut to the title screen, Get Out. And by the way, again, kudos to fucking Lakeith Stanfield, who does a really good job of playing a fucking unconscious corpse. That takes talent. That's literally you becoming dead weight and getting dragged by a whole nother person that's responsible for dragging you and hopefully not dropping you. So it means that person's pretty strong, whoever dragged him. Stunt person, I'm assuming, because there was a mask on. And threw him in the trunk. So, shout out to Lakeith for doing that ever so appropriately with the corpse. The corpse cosplay, I guess you could say. Like I said, we cut to the fucking Get Out title screen, which is playing over some fast montage footage of driving through the woods. It's a lot of fucking, I'm guessing, pine trees. It was going by kind of fast. A lot of green, let's say. Then that cuts to fucking the song that was taken over. I vaguely remember if it was this came out 2017 early, so probably 2016. If we got our facts correct, is when Childish Gambino's "Stay Woke," that song came out. I'm not gonna fucking karaoke style it right now because that will not sound good coming out of me. That "Stay Woke," whatever. But that's a fucking jam still. Even, 5-6 years later today, it still fucking slaps. It's still a nice tune to fucking enjoy or tap your toe to. Since, I got no rhythm. I'm light. I'm not white. But still, I didn't inherit any rhythm, unfortunately. But it's still a great song. That's playing over a bunch of fucking black and white photography that we later find out, just a little while after, immediately after almost, that Chris, or Daniel Kaluuya in this case, the protagonist, has taken himself. He's a photographer of all people. And of course, then we cut to, is the movie going to start to make sense at some point? Because all you see is Get Out. It's a literal title. You would think it's a movie about getting out somewhere, getting away from it all perhaps. Is that what it's building up to? We don't get it. We just see the guy a black man get taken hostage, suffocated, and thrown into a fucking trunk. So what is it about him trying to get out of the trunk the whole time? What is it? No clue as of yet. Because after the photography passes, then we cut right away to this, I'll say she's pretty. I'll say she's attractive. Pretty attractive. There's a wording. Pretty attractive white girl. I don't know her fucking name. I didn't bother to remember, who the rest of the cast was outside of Daniel Kaluuya and or Lakeith Stanfield. I'll be honest in that sense, too. But a pretty attractive white girl. She's, of course, doing what every single white person that's moved to Williamsburg, Brooklyn loves to do in their fucking downtime, spare time, or morning time, and that's hold up the fucking bakery line. If it's not the bakery, which has their fucking vegan, cage-free chicken eggs, whatever to a preference, it's fucking Starbucks, it's a Dunkin' Donuts. Oh, no, they don't do Dunkin' Donuts. That's beneath them. It's definitely Starbucks. But their favorite pastime is just holding up the fucking line, pressing their face onto the fucking display glass to see how many blueberries are in that fucking scone, how many cranberries are actually split up and cut into two to make the muffin look like it's got more cranberries to muffin ratio in it too, or just ask their favorite questions. Is this vegan? Cage-free eggs? Can I ask the baker? Can I speak to him or her? I don't want to assume genders either. Of course, she loves doing that. So when she pops up on his front door to his apartment, she's got no hands free. She doesn't think of what's fucking common to do amongst adults that, have lived on their own for long enough. Maybe she hasn't on her own as of yet, presumably up until this point. No hands free, right? At the front door. What's the next best thing to do? At least use your fucking foot to knock on the fucking door. She's most likely got boots on, I would think. Or maybe she had sandals. Maybe she had open-toe sandals on. So if she's trying to knock on the door with a foot, with sandals on, there's no sound carrying, there's no reverberation from the door to let anybody know inside that they're at the door waiting to get inside. And she can't reach her phone either. But of course, she instead uses her fucking head, because she didn't bother to ask for a bag at the bakery at wherever she was. She was more concerned about the flakiness of the croissants or the cranberry to muffin ratio in her muffin, instead of asking for a bag to carry everything into. She's got the tray for the coffees, and she's got a little paper bag for the fucking muffin and croissant or whatever she got. But she got no hands free. So what does she decide to do? Instead of using her feet, instead of fucking just yelling at the door or something, she starts knocking on the door with a fucking head, like a headbanger. I see this. I get a hint of this. Or let's say, I'm assuming he lives in a building, and he's got nosy-ass neighbors too. Someone's looking through the peephole and sees that goes on. A pretty white girl who looks to be doing well enough for herself to afford that neighborhood they live in is knocking on doors with her head. And not a light, like knock, 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 like a with a fucking head, of all things. If my neighbor were to tell me, I saw your girlfriend knocking on your door with her head, or if God forbid, maybe I stepped out, she's at my door, she says, no, I'm not home, and I see her knocking on my door with her head, that's immediately breakup material right there. I cannot be with an adult, a grown, rent paying, assumably paying their own bills, ass adult that's knocking on doors with their bare head. They're like Goldberg the wrestler, who used to use that as a hype up tactic for himself before his fucking matches. Of all things we know, wrestling isn't real, but he was all too real as far as hyping himself up is concerned. So he would just like smash his head into the door to get into the zone. He did it recently, like a year or two ago, and confessed he gave himself a concussion doing that shit. So 55 may be the cutting point for that old, tactic that fucking get yourself hyped up for that. But she does it. I'd break up with somebody if I found out they knock doors with their bare heads. And funny enough, the song is still playing, the fucking Childish Gambino Stay Woke, right? I don't know if it was purposely done, the magic of editing, or just a perfectly beautiful coincidence, but when she's knocking on the door with a bare head, you hear the fucking lyrics from the fucking song. N-words is creeping, and it keeps fucking playing over again in rhythm too. N-words are creeping as she's banging on his door with a bare head. But okay, I don't understand what happened there. Immediately I'm breaking up with that bitch, basically. So she makes her way into the apartment. They fucking greet each other with a kiss at the door. He's happy to see her, obviously, because that's his girlfriend. Obviously, at this point, we established that with the kiss. And then it goes into the obvious discussion. Because now he's packing, we see him packing bags, packing stuff into one bag, I think, or two, whatever. But the conversation comes up to the point where it seems like he's not so comfortable because he's packing and only responding in one-word responses. Which, of course, to any girl, it upsets him, to no end. So he has to ask, obviously, what's going to be the sore thumb. Since she's white, obviously she has white parents, or she could be really Puerto Rican, undercover, who knows, because they're really white Puerto Ricans and Dominicans. But, I digress. He asks, do they know I'm black? And she responds, because she's like a liberal, presumably. Well, we'll find out later on if she is or isn't. No. Should they? And I don't know if nowadays that really comes up as a discussion anymore as far as like biracial, diverse couples. Like, I can imagine that being the case maybe, 10, definitely 15, 20 years ago, as far as couples introducing their significant others to their parents and they're of a different race completely, how that might go over. Because, listen, I'm from New York, so we're diverse enough over here. It's like in Queens, the most diverse borough of the whole state and probably the world, where I've been exposed to the world in my own backyard without having to leave the country, better yet said, let alone leave the state. I've had that, benefit to my, I've been afforded that benefit, culturally. So it's not a surprise to me to have dated other girls from other fucking parts of the world. I think nothing of it. But then there's some people that grow up, they're brought up to see things one way, people one way, one shade of color, whatever. You see someone else that stands out, it's kind of like maybe intriguing. I don't know if you're racist, maybe a whole nother thing goes on there. We're not going to discuss that. But how do the parents take it too? Because she's like white. There's no confusion for anything else. Again, maybe Puerto Rican, she can maybe pass for that, but besides that, how to explain the black boyfriend? Now, I don't know, again, I'm saying my point is I don't know how it is nowadays, but then she does pepper in the fact that she's got one of those dads that'll be like immediately like, my dad would have voted for Obama a third time. If anything, he's one of those. He loves black people. And he'll say it to black people's face all the time when he gets a chance to interact. I love black people. Black people are the greatest. I wish I was black. One of those guys kind of thing. So they make nothing of it. They're planning for the trip. They kiss, they make out. Presumably they have sex before they fucking go on the road. They go, it seems like upstate, to where they're going to meet, well, he's going to meet her parents for the first time, but they're going to spend the weekend over there at their house, at their big-ass house, as we'll find out. But On the road there, she's driving. He's got no license, so he's fine sitting in the passenger seat. He wants to fucking smoke. We find out now, apparently, he's trying to quit smoking. I need to ask this of all the smokers out there, regardless of what you smoke, but more presumably cigarette smokers, better get said. I don't smoke, so I don't know myself. I can't really answer that. But would this be a red flag? Because in this part, as he pulls out one cig or one cigarette, we won't assume Lucy's. Like, he probably just had like a carton, a pack, whatever. He just pulled one out. I didn't notice, really, to be honest. But she immediately snatches it out of his hand and not just takes it from him, like puts it in a purse, or you'll get this later. You're not smoking this weekend. Hold off till Monday, whatever. You're meeting my parents, goddamn it, or something. No. She takes it from him and she snaps it and throws it out the window. Now, I know how expensive cigarettes can get if you smoke a pack a day, especially if you smoke more than one pack a day. How much you're spending a week, a month, a year in just cigarettes. Is that a red flag for smokers out there? Someone who is your significant other and either breaks, destroys, throws out your cigarettes? It wouldn't be just enough to hide them from you, like you were a child hiding whatever you're not allowed to have because you haven't been disciplined enough to prove otherwise? I think if I was a smoker and I see that go on at least once, again, that's another red flag for me, besides her knocking on doors with a fucking forehead. That's a clear red flag for me. Nope, I gotta cut this bitch off and I gotta toss it to the side like she did my fucking cigarette. While driving, mind you. So on top of that, not only is she being a bitch and a cunt by breaking a cigarette, which isn't cheap, and throwing it out the window, she's also littering, which is another thing too that drivers here, wherever you are, I'm sure all over the place, they're there. The ones that fucking litter while they drive. They just get done eating their drive-through food, or in this case a cigarette, break it, they're not going to smoke it, they just toss it out the window. Toss it out the window. Asshole is all I'm going to say. I mean, you shouldn't be doing it. You shouldn't be littering, period. And or if you're one of these two, if you miss the fucking trash bin, outside especially, and you don't pick up after yourself, asshole, cunt, whatever you identify as, gender preference-wise, of course. But now we find out, well, we knew already, we saw earlier when they were packing and shit too, that Chris has a dog. Daniel Kaluuya, Chris has a dog. We find out over the phone now while they're driving that he asked his friend Rod, who works as a TSA, airport security agent, that he left his dog in charge for the weekend with Rod, which is his boy. He's cool with him, he trusts him, of course, and the dog seems to know him too, so it's definitely no problem. But a little bit of detail added to this. It could have been, something flown under the radar, who gives a shit. But the matter is that threw me off was the dog has IBS, irritable bowel syndrome. And I'm just thinking to myself, owning a dog with IBS must be rough. But sorry for that joke. But I'm not babysitting no dog ever that has IBS. And or if you're not familiar with what that is, that means you're so irritable because your bowels have a syndrome. AKA, you can't stop shitting. You're in the bathroom shitting, not just pissing, not just, taking a bird bath or nothing. No, you're in there shitting more than a couple of times a day. So imagine a dog. On top of that, we're added, we got the added task of having to pick up a dog's shit. But imagine a dog that can't stop shitting. And it's a cute dog. I mean, it's a nice looking dog. It looks like a hypoallergenic dog, whatever, too. But as cute, as well trained and behaved, whatever, too, do you really want a dog in your life that can't stop shitting? Does that mean I have to leave the dog at home because I got to work in the office, and when I come back, I'm literally tripping and stepping all over all kinds of shit that's been done that day because that dog can't stop shitting? And you got to really be a good friend, blood practically, to want to volunteer to doggy sit, puppy sit, babysit, whatever, a dog that cannot stop shitting on top of that too. Your house will never smell the same, let alone with a dog living in it. Dog owners, cat owners, own the fuck up to it. Listen, you own the shit, you're proud of it, they're probably wonderful, whatever. Your house smells because of the fucking pet you own. Even lizards, hamsters, hedgehogs, whatever the fuck you into. It fucking smells in there. You're trying to fucking play it off like, oh no, my house doesn't smell, my dog doesn't smell, whatever too. It smells. It fucking stinks. And on top of that, cats are worse because they got the goddamn litter boxes. As much as they try to infuse sense and whatever to kind of like downgrade, downplay the shit, it's there and it stinks. All right? So no more of that funny business. But babysitting a dog that can't stop shitting, you're a saint. You need to be sanctified. He needs to treat that fucking friend of his like royalty or like family, or owes him a big fucking favor. I don't know, I'm just saying. Alright. While he's talking to Rod, this really good friend of his that takes care of the dogs who can't stop shitting, he does make the joke with him because they all know each other. Rod knows Rose, the girlfriend. They hang out. He makes the fucking jokes about, oh, you got with the wrong black guy, right? You should have been with me, whatever. You're so pretty, whatever. Like friendly flirting. Excuse me. But he does tell Chris over the phone, don't ever go to a white girl's parents' house. Why would you? There's no reason to. And, Chris takes it as he's just playing. You're being silly, I'm black, big deal. Modern times, 2017, what's the worst that can happen, whatever, too. As he's telling them that, and after Rod is put on speaker to talk to fucking the girl, Rose, and he makes a joke, you got with the wrong black guy, you should have been with me, whatever. Immediately they hang up and whatnot. Immediately right after, they fucking hit a deer on the road, because they're driving, through the woods and shit, too. Hit a deer so hard, the deer's body, the deer itself, like, shoots off to the side road, deep in the forest. Well, they gotta stop. They gotta see if there's any damage to the car. I don't know if it was their car or a rental. I'd be really pissed if it was a rental. But then again, a rental, I think you get insurance and it's like, fine, whatever. But they hit the car, there's blood on the headlight. He goes to check the fucking deer to see what's happening. He checks the deer and he's able to see the deer as it's taken, presumably, I think, its last breath and just dies. But he had to walk a good fucking while to get to the deer. Now, I don't know, obviously deers are fast, they're nimble, they can jump around too. Maybe the deer was fast enough to still make it deep into the woods and then fucking pass out. But that poor kid Chris had to really fucking walk to get to that goddamn deer, just to see it die in front of him. But whatever. We cut back to Chris sitting in front of the car on the fucking bumper of it too, while Rose is getting questioned by a police officer who pulls up. I don't know if they called him or he just like passed by and saw what happened or saw that they were like pulled over the side of the road. He's questioning her. Then all of a sudden he signals to him, hey, I need to see your ID or your license. She clarifies he wasn't driving. I was. So, leave him alone. Basically, he's black, you're white. Enough already of this shit. It's 2017. It'll get much worse after this, surprisingly. But, I digress. She immediately protests. She's, like I just described, and she's not having it. She's there pretty much to defend him, which works to his favor, because he wants to just comply and show ID, go about their day. Police officer, please don't beat me up, because I happen to be black and young, and I wasn't driving, I wasn't doing nothing. Literally, I was sleeping, talking to my friend on the phone. She's the one that hit the fucking deer, so arrest her if anything, too. And it works. She's able to get him off. The cop fucking goes away, go about their way, and right after she's done doing that for him, he does admit that was kind of hot. The fact that she got so impassioned and embroiled about fucking, you can't do that to him. He just so happens to be black. If anything, he's black and mild, just like his favorite kind of cigarette. Or I don't know if he smokes Newports or whatever too. I just grab it out of his mouth and I break him in half and throw him out the fucking window while we're driving. So leave him alone, officer. He means well. He's a good one. He's a good one. I don't mean just a good one because he's black, but a good person as the one. The one for me, my significant other. Can't you see clearly we're fucking with each other? We're driving each other. I'm driving him to see my parents. That means I love this motherfucker. God damn it. And it works. He goes away. Like, not tail between the legs, but like he goes away like, all right, I'll let you off with a warning. Get that fucking headlight fixed. Clean that blood off. Or they'll think to look at the black guy first because, duh, people are racist around here if you couldn't tell. All right. So once they get past that part, we cut to them pulling up into the fucking mansion, the estate that her parents own. And the first thing we're greeted to upon entering the mansion, estate, whatever, is a black groundskeeper. which is where the movie starts to get a little odd, or at least I don't know which way this is going or what I'm about to witness. Betty had said, because the the black groundskeeper has his back turned to us, as if we're in the car. I mean, of course, or Betty had said to Chris. As they pull up more into the fucking property, the black groundskeeper turns around, stops what he's doing as far as raking the fucking grass. He turns around, and with this very blank look on his face, in a very childlike way of hello, like he's stunned and confused, greets them hello, while they're in the vehicle, of course. And it's odd because you don't expect that from a grown-ass man as he is, of all things, doing some physical labor around the house. But he greets him as if he was a child. And he can't fucking help it. He's like fascinated with them passing by. Which we'll find out later on, much later on, that, there's a reason why. They pull up to the house, they're pulling all this shit out the car. They get up to the fucking steps of the house. And, of course, they're greeted to, which I don't like, at least upon meeting someone the first time, a bunch of huggers. The parents, mom and dad of the fucking pretty white girl, Rose, they love to hug. The dad says out loud, "We're huggers. We hug. What do you want me to do about it? Come on, come here, bro." They start hugging immediately. It's kind of uncomfortable, especially nowadays with the 6 feet apart, personal space, whatever the fuck too. As they walk into the house and the door closes behind them, we see that the groundskeeper's been watching the whole time from the lawn. He stopped raking completely and just made it his business to watch them go into the house, creepily, scarily enough. Well, it's not yet confirmed why, but at this point, too, they could just go the simple route for the rest of the movie. Not that this happens, but the groundskeeper could just be a killer, a maniac, obsessed with killing this one black guy because he's with his boss's daughter, who he had a thing for the longest time now. And of course, that fantasy is like blowing up in his face pretty much. Once they start talking in the house, the dad overhears or gets told the fact that, they were a little shooken up on the way there because they hit a fucking deer and it died. The dad's all proud. He's a hunter. He's got fucking deer's heads, animals and shit around. And he says, quote, "I say, one down, a couple of 100,000 to go." It's literally dad versus deer. So, of course, he hunts. Of course, he likes to fucking snipe deers in plain sight. I'll admit, I'm not into animal cruelty. I love animals, to be honest. Pets, whatever you want to call it, too, or lump them in as. I love pets, but I would love to go hunting one day. And I am of the train of thought, forgive me, PETA, forgive me, whatever fucking animal organization out there might catch wind of this. There really are too many goddamn deer out there. In the woods, the wilderness, whatever you want to call it. It's like the roaches to a bigger inner city ratio is the same as they got out there deers to the fucking outdoors, the wildlife. There's too many. They take over. They start eating. Yeah, they're cute. They fucking make you drop your shield a little bit with the fact that they're so cute. You can embrace them, whatever, too, but they are a fucking pest. There's too many out there. Okay, not enough to run them over. We don't need to do that because I know running one over, surprisingly their car wasn't too damaged. It only got a little blood on the headlight. Deers can really wreck the fuck out of your car if you hit them at a fast enough speed, or they're coming fast and you're coming slow, but they just take the fucking full body impact, whatever. A deer can really fucking ruin your whole fucking existence if they wreck your shit. But again, I just think there's too many fucking deer, so I do kind of agree with Dad at this point. A couple 100,000 to go ain't gonna do nobody, injustice with less deer available. Unless you live off deer meat, then I maybe understand, but then otherwise, deer meat gave me like 2-3 days worth of diarrhea, explosive diarrhea, the one time I went upstate. Never again in my life. And he just fucking really adds salt to the wound, the dad, because he hates deer so much. And he says again, "I'm grateful for what you've done today. I don't like him." He's going in. He's got fucking legit beef. If he could fucking record his own version of Ether on deers, he absolutely would. He's like so energetic and passionate about fucking not liking deers. What we come to see later on, deers are kind of symbolic and important, integral to the fucking movie itself. But we'll see. Now, as they're discussing and after they're done talking, deer hate, anti-deer sentiments, whatever, too, it's out the way. This thing, as Dad describes it, gets clarified. The relationship between Chris and Rose. They've only been together for 4 months. This is another, a third red flag right now? What? She knocks on doors with her forehead. She takes cigarettes out of people's hands, breaks them in half, throws them out moving vehicle windows, and litters with fucking shit that kills you literally anyway. Now, on top of that, she's taken him to a weekend at her parents' house barely 4 months into a relationship. That's like a huge timeout, red flag. What are we doing? What are you doing introducing me to your parents 4 months into this fucking thing when I barely know you? I barely fucked you enough times to know which counterclockwise, clockwise way I gotta stick my dick in you to get you wet enough to fucking last long enough so I don't bust too quick. I'm barely figuring that out. If you like your ass eaten, if you like your fucking clit tickled, etc., etc. 69, is that in the fucking tangible at all anyways? No, I'm barely getting to know how to fucking toss and turn you in bed, and now you're dragging me up to fucking upstate to meet your parents at their fucking mansion. And they're painfully white, and they're huggers on top of that upon, meeting for the first time. She definitely fucking sucked his dick, drained the balls dry, and said, you know what, babe, I think it's time to meet my parents. It's about time, as she's, wiping some cum off her fucking bottom, top lip. I forgot she have lips. Because I know that's the thing now, too. A lot of lip fillers, injection, Botox, whatever, too. So, probably wiping it off her fucking top lip. Because she was probably going, blah, 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 like slapping herself with the black cock and shit, too. It's like, you know what, babe? I think it'd be a great idea if you met my parents. At least for a weekend, little getaway, and all that, too. Come on. What do you say? You down for that, bro? And then, her great idea. He's all with it as he getting his balls straightened out. Like, oh, yeah, babe. Okay, I'm good with it. Oh, whatever. Let's go. And all that, too. Sorry for the visual, but, I'm just saying. Probably. While they're there and they're done discussing how long they've been together, Dad drags the fucking guy along for a tour of the house. Impromptu. So trying to play up to the fact that obviously he's black and dating his white-ass daughter, he's trying to connect and or bond, Betty had said. Shows him a couple of pictures around the fucking house, things he's collected, artifacts, souvenirs, whatever, because he can't help but be a fucking hoarder on top of that, too. He says to himself, I can't go anywhere without bringing some shit back, just to show proof that I was there. Just like, the old running gag of, like, someone, goes to visit somewhere, they bring you back the t-shirt that says, my friend went to Albuquerque and all I got was his t-shirt kind of thing. He's like one of those guys. Like, it's the greatest joke in the world to him to do that, but he does it to himself to, like, kind of pop himself, like, hee hee hee, I got that lamp in Canada, whatever. So he drags him over after seeing some stuff, some different little artifacts, lamps, bullshit, whatever, to a wall where he's got pictures of his grandfather, I believe he said. His grandfather, who he was so proud of having been beaten by Jesse Owens back in the 1936 Berlin Olympics. When Jesse Owens, rest in peace, of course, won 4 gold medals. One of them being, I forget, like, it was a bunch of racing, running fucking medals and shit. All gold, by the way. In front of Hitler, basically, as he describes. So he wasn't even upset, the dad says, because he really stuck it, of all people, a black guy to Hitler to show that the stupid fucking superior race theory bullshit he had was that bullshit because a black guy just beat all your best guys at running. So he makes that point, he makes that emphasis. And here's a fun fact actually about Jesse Owens that I didn't know. I had to fucking Google that afterwards. I was just curious. But Jesse Owens apparently lost the 4 gold medals he got at Berlin at some point. He confessed, like, before he passed away, like, I lost the original 4 gold medals I won in Berlin. And at some point he had demanded that Germany send him 4 replacement gold medals. And those 4 replacement gold medals are actually on display, I think, at his old college or high school in Ohio somewhere. So it turns out they're not even the OG medals. They're fucking replicas or mea culpas that he had to ask for from Germany, of all places. Which, who knows? He might have just did it, or he might have hawked his 4 original gold medals and said, you know what? I'm an Olympic gold medalist. I won 4 of them. I'll make fucking Germany pay to fucking make some more. and send him my way. I don't know. I'm just saying. Or maybe he legit lost them somehow. But then gold medals are big, heavy, clunky, making all the fucking sound in the world when they like clank together with each other. I would think it'd be pretty hard to fucking lose it. But if he did, he did. That's in the past. That's history, and rest in peace again, Jesse Owens. But he's so proud of his fucking dad being beaten by Jesse Owens of all people because, you know, it almost ended racism at that point in fucking the 30s of all times. But he also makes an off comment about the basement's closed off due to black mold of all things. Like, he could have just said mold. He could have just said, fungus growing, asbestos, whatever, too. He says specifically black mold is why I sealed off the basement to anybody. And right here is when we get introduced to somebody essential to the estate, to the family, presumably, by the name of Georgina, the head maid, I'm going to say, who happens to be black. So already we got the black groundskeeper, who smiles like a overgrown child. And now we got Georgina, the head maid, who is black. Attractive, I'd say, too. Chef's kiss her, because I'm kind of scared of her by the way she was staring holes in everybody, especially Chris, with a very creepy smile and just like blank expression, like her eyes were gonna roll out of her head at any given point. But we're introduced to her now, so that's 1-2 people to be like, wait a minute. When they make it outside, so the dad can show Chris the backyard and how it looks, I guess the house, better get said from the outside, he does say, quote, "I know what you're thinking. White family, black servants, looks pretty bad." But he goes on to explain like a lot of white people when they feel white guilt randomly out of nowhere for no real reason. I swear to God, it's just a coincidence. I didn't mean it, bro. It's not like I did it so you'd see this when you came over and be scared to even date my daughter anymore because you'd see I'm a super racist or whatever. No, I swear to God, it just happened. That's how it was. He says, the dad, they were originally the groundskeeper and the head maid. They were originally the carekeepers for his parents, but when they died, he felt so bad about them leaving or having no job, he decided to keep them and put them at the positions they're at. So then they finally sit down afterwards, and that's, again, creepy enough. They sit down afterwards at the fucking outside, like picnic table, whatever they got going on, and they start asking Chris about his parents. So we find out now that his dad pretty much ditched him at a young age, and then mom was killed in a hit and run at the age of 11. And he don't like talking about it because he feels some sort of guilty associated with it too. Dad's able to pick up while he's like visibly uncomfortable talking about his mom passing away, that he's fidgeting. He's like moving and shaking his hand a lot. And he's a neurosurgeon, I think is established. So he's like, are you a smoker by any chance, Chris? And we get exposed to the fact that, okay, dad was also a smoker, as he said, for 15 years. But then the mom, Rose's mom, of all things, is a therapist, I believe a psychologist, she confirms, but also a firm believer in hypnotism, as far as she was able to hypnotize the dad enough to stop smoking completely, where he says, just looking at a cigarette makes you want to throw up. It's so good, so wonderful what she did for me. Why don't you do the same thing? Why don't you fucking stop smoking around my daughter, you scumbag, you chimney, whatever. Maybe that's why you're so black. You smoke too much, whatever. That's probably the logic. I don't know. But they start doing that. While they're discussing all that, they're talking amongst themselves at the picnic table. Georgina, the creepy head maid, is serving, I guess, iced tea, sweet tea, whatever, too, into his glass, Chris. I forget what the word was. It kind of triggers her to, like, be all, befuddled or caught up in a moment or, like, stunned out of nowhere. I think when they said, like, the people are coming over for the party and shit. We're going to see why that matters, but she gets, like, a little caught up in a moment, this Georgina girl, and starts overpouring, spills all over. And it's like she's flashing back to something regarding a party. But again, we'll see later on why that happens. All right. Excuse me. So while it's still outside at the picnic table, then we get greeted to who they already had mentioned briefly at this point, the younger brother of Rose. I didn't catch his name. I didn't bother. But he comes in out of nowhere, and you could tell already by his fucking scraggly, is that the word, scraggy? Like, shitty looking hair. He kind of looks like, if Shaggy from Scooby-Doo started getting into fucking, I don't know, acid outside of just weed, or like overindulgent eating too. By the hair, it's shitty, half a ponytail, half a mullet, whatever he's got going off. You can tell he's a wild child. He's the one that likes to go crazy and like go through, prescription medicine or, cough syrup, whatever in his free time. They cut to the fucking dinner table for later that night, where it's still focused on the brother, and he's telling the story about how his sister and them had a house party one day, and she had bit a guy's tongue off, or bit really hard into it, because he scared her by sticking his tongue in her mouth, because of how drunk they were too. They raided the liquor cabinet of the parents too. And then it goes into something I never understood myself, and I have personally experienced, not to this degree as per the movie, but close enough, where, and this isn't me being racist, just like, stereotypes exist because they are exaggerated truths, but they're still the truth, at least subtly underlying per se. The kid's obsessed with his frame, his form, Chris, saying, you know what, you're pretty big, you look like you can handle yourself, you haven't done martial arts, any sort of training, or you're into MMA, UFC, whatever too. He confirms, yeah, I'm familiar, but I don't do it. But regardless, the bro starts talking about his body like he's an Adonis, or he's like so fascinating. Like he might as well be going out with Chris because of how much he talks about his body and like how he's shaped. And like if you took some serious training, whatever, you'd be a killing machine and whatnot too. That cuts to the fucking mom going to the kitchen. We get another glimpse of Georgina as she pushes the fucking kitchen door, one of those revolving like kind of saloon western doors. We get a glimpse of Georgina again, just like staring hard body into the dinner table, practically piercing Chris's soul. She's looking so fucking blank and hard and dead at the same time. She's in the kitchen though, she's helping out the mom. Mom comes back out with some carrot cake. Of course, you couldn't get any whiter or any more bland and vanilla than some carrot cake. For dessert after a nice ass dinner, the first time you're meeting your daughter's black boyfriend, of course. But okay, maybe that's what they had on the menu legit. Then it comes to the point where she brings out the cake, they're about to serve it, or I think they start eating, whatever. And then the bro, again, is still obsessed with this guy being black, being tall, lean, whatever, too. He wants to size him up. He wants to fucking take him down, and, tussle, wrestle a little bit, too, because Chris said he took judo when he was younger, and then the bro was talking about jujitsu the whole time and different fighting styles and whatnot, too. He wants to test him a little bit, too. Like every white boy, just wants to fucking feel another guy's body, test him, alpha, beta, whatever issues going on in their head. So from here, we cut to them in the bedroom, Chris and Rose. They're together, and she's going off on everybody. The cop, her parents, anybody, and especially her brother too, anybody that looked like they were picking on him, on Chris, because of the fact that he's black. He admits that it turns him on. The fact that she's going on, quote unquote, a racial flow by defending him as best as she can. We cut to then, they go to sleep after having sex, I'm assuming. So it's a clear, head clearing nut so he can actually catch some Z's. But he can't because he's like all tensed up, I guess, about Georgina, the head's groundkeeper, and then the deer also early in the day. He sees the deer in his dreams again. He's walking up to it, flies all over it, so presumably it's just dead. But looking at the dead deer in his dreams, or nightmares, better yet said. So much so that he can't sleep. He gets up out of bed. He steps outside the house for some fresh air. Excuse me. Before he's able to step fully outside the house, we see another quick glimpse of Georgina just making her rounds, like walking the hallways, whatever the fuck, too. He goes to stand outside. He's taking in the air. He's just like kind of vibing, I guess, on his own. All of a sudden, he sees that this guy, the fucking groundskeeper, is still out there. I guess he was chopping wood or doing some other shit, whatever, too. But then he focuses on him. He turns around the groundskeeper and looks back at Chris, just standing there doing nothing. And then you got all of a sudden he hits full blast or full sprint towards Chris, like about to just run, plow right through him if possible. at the very last second before he's able to fucking pull up on Chris and annihilate him, because this isn't a small guy, he's a big guy too, moving really fast. He's beelines past him, like misses him completely. And he just keeps running, he runs off, and then we don't see him again until the next morning. Chris is kind of creeped out, like, what just happened? But okay, whatever. He might have just not seen me. He turns around, he looks into the house. Georgina is by a mirror, a window of some sorts. You can see her looking and checking out her hair and shit too. And she's fixing her hair randomly. I guess she notices, and I forget exactly how it went down, but she notices, she turns off the light. He's creeped out because it's like, wait, he was out there doing this the whole time, and then she might have just been there watching the whole time too and not saying nothing. What is going on here? Am I having a bad dream? Whatever. But I don't know. It's just a little weird. So then, after he's done with dealing outside and seeing Georgina, seeing the fucking groundskeeper too, he steps back into the house. He thinks no one's there, no one's awake, it's late, whatever. I'll be just on my way back to bed with my bae and shit. No. Sitting right there in the hallway in another room. Seems like a library, like lecture room, whatever. The mom's sitting there. She cuts the light on. She sees that he's disturbed and she's lonely, so she tells him to sit down with her. And then she starts going in and elaborating on the hypnosis techniques that Dad had alluded to. She's going more and more into detail. This whole time, she's setting him up strategically with a teacup that she has a spoon in as well too, stirring the tea in a certain way, but also clanking on the sides in a certain specific kind of rhythm, enough to kind of get him to start spilling the beans as far as his mom. We start to find out that his mom wasn't a hit and run, but he was watching TV and he didn't call 911 immediately, so she actually started dying slowly. Slowly, all alone in the cold rain and whatnot too. But he was just too scared to confront that when it happened when he was a child, when he was 11 too. So she drags that out of him. But again, the whole time, the teacup in hand, spoon is clanking on the sides too. It's actually such a fucking beautiful ploy she does to him. Because she literally guilt trip him. He's crying. He's feeling the fucking thing all over again as far as what he could have done for his mom to save her. Potentially, because again, she didn't die upon impact. She died later on because of injuries suffered from the hit and run. He can't help it. He's crying. He's all in his feelings again. She's got him. It turns out the tea, the rhythm in which the spoon was hitting the teacup, was a ploy to slowly, underlyingly hypnotize his ass, which she succeeds in doing. And next thing you know, we're introduced to the infamous from this fucking film, The Sunken Place. What is it? Not literally you're going through a floor, getting sucked into a black void and just suspended in reality, whatever too. No. It's proverbially. His insides, like his inner being spirit, got sucked into a black void to float indefinitely. And while he's moving and trying to get back to the surface to see what's going on inside of him, outside physically, he's just stunned. He's just like a mannequin practically, with his mouth open and tears still flowing out of him. And he says himself, I can't move. It feels like I'm paralyzed. She's got him. She's already got him under fucking spell. He's given up all the fucking deets of what happened to his mom, why he felt so guilty. And he's just stuck there. Literally, he can't move. He's like under paralysis. Like, he can't do anything. On the inside of his inner being, he's swimming, trying to get away from it all. And then next thing you know, he wakes up out of bed, startled. The fucking girl is, I think she's in the shower. She's running the shower, whatever, too. He just wakes up all creeped out. Like, what? Was that a bad dream? Did that really happen? Did I really bump into her mom last night and she hypnotized me of some sorts and I'm here randomly? What happened? Basically, right? That's the introduction to The Sunken Place, which is like, up until this point, you don't know exactly what the fuck's going on. Or you think you see certain things unraveling or what's to become, but then all of a sudden now, whoa, this happens. This is out of nowhere. And The Sunken Place looked fucking cool too, because it just looked like a really dark, poorly lit like tank of water where he's just like standing in, not drowning, but just like floating in the middle of. and he can't escape it until she lets him go, pretty much. So the next day, wake up, he's outside again, he's like taking in some more fresh air. He has his camera with him. The whole time we're confirming he's a cameraman, or he's a photographer, better yet said, probably a photographer because he's got no set schedule, no real job, or no company he reports to. So then, he takes the camera outside, doesn't take a picture, no pictures taken out of the fucking wilderness, outside nature, whatever, but he does see Georgina in the window again, doing a thing, not even noticing he's there. So he grabs his camera, he looks to take a picture, but then Georgina notices before he can even get one off. He's caught, and he fucking just looks down, looks away, tosses the camera down, but it's around his neck so he doesn't drop it entirely. And then he looks over, oh, wait a second, there's the groundskeeper. He's chopping wood. I wonder if he remembers what happened last night. So he walks over to him, he introduces him, says, hey, they got you working hard out here, bro, whatever, too. And the whole time, groundskeeper's like a zombie, like really dead inside, hollowed out, like, what is this guy's problem? And he can't answer genuinely. He's answering like robotically, like very prepared phrases for whatever response comes my way, kind of thing. And does apologize for actually running up on him, but he just says, I was doing my exercise and you just happened to be in my way. I saw you very last second and that's why I missed you entirely. But again, very zombie-like, very creepy-like, very dead inside in terms of his responses. At this point now, he's kind of thinking maybe the sunken place was a dream I just had, or a really bad dream I had. But after interacting with the groundskeeper, he's kind of more suspicious, at least to him. To the point where he brings up the fact that maybe he's jealous of him for being with Rose, a girlfriend, the whole time. And she's like, well, she jokes about, oh, you think I got a shot with him or whatever, whatnot. But then he just brushes it off. Like, don't tell your dad, don't get no one in trouble. I just thought maybe the way he phrases things towards me, he seemed kind of sarcastic, like he wasn't feeling me, or he didn't like that you were feeling up on me this whole time. Cut to this. She informs him, okay, I'm sorry about that, but now, oh yeah, I totally forgot. You're about to witness the whitest weekend ever in your black ass life. Because now the whole fucking house is about to be filled to the brim with fucking guests. Of course, they're all white, or at least we all think they're white. They're coming in. They're going to have this whole fucking thing. And then the parents reminder, we tell you about this every year. It's the same time every year. So why are you surprised now? But she's still acting like, oh, goddamn, I forgot. Or, no, but even better, like, oh, goddamn, I didn't know. No one told me, whatever, too. So all these fucking rich white people start flowing in. They're piling up everywhere, too. And now he gets introduced to first the Greens, which is a couple consisting of an old guy who's still able to walk. He used to be a golfer, but his hips went bad, with his old-ass wife. And, of course, because they're white, they're trying to make them feel like at home. The guy stresses, oh, I played golf professionally, and I know Tiger Woods. I love him. He's great. Do you know him? Do you know about him, too, either? He's not really responding. He's like, yeah, Tiger, right. Then the next couple is a really, really old guy. So old he's in a wheelchair. He can't fucking move on his own besides his fucking neck and smile, kind of like half-assed like an old man would. Married to a not that much younger, but a younger than him woman who, she's foreign of some sort. She sounded kind of like a little French, whatever. But immediately, she starts to take the fucking Chris. And says, he's so handsome, did you know that, whatever, too, and just goes right up to his arm, starts pressing on it, feeling him up, pretty much saying, yeah, that's a good pick right there. And it's getting creepy, because then, even more, we go back to the outside, where Chris is getting spoken to by a really fat white guy with a ponytail, who says, black is in fashion. No, not a ponytail, sorry, just like really messy-looking hair, but it wasn't a ponytail, I remember now. Now it's getting weird because, these people being awfully nice to me because I'm black and they know I'm Rose's boyfriend, or what's the deal here? And, let's see. Oh yeah, so after the black is in fashion fucking line from the fat white guy, He's still looking around. He's trying to see, what I can take a picture of finally because he's a photographer, but he's a really shitty one because he hasn't taken one picture yet on that big ass fucking Canon camera. He's looking around. He's trying to see what the fuck might catch his interest. Oh, oddly enough, another black guy here of all places at this white ass party. Noticing the only one black dude, he pulls up to him. He says, "Oh, great to see another brother here." Turns around. Wait a second. It's Lakeith Stanfield, a.k.a. the guy from earlier in the movie. And he's dressed really different, shaved off his facial hair. He just looks and acts and speaks weird. Not what you expect. He can't put a thumb on it per se, but he can't put his thumb on it, better yet said. But he's just really thrown off Chris by the appearance of this guy we saw at the very beginning of the movie. So now we know he's not dead, he's there, but why is he there or how is he there? So, and also his wife's name, now that he's married, I think, or just lives with a really much older white woman, is Philomena, which I'm sure means something. But also then now we cut to Chris walking away from them. Well, Lakeith, the guy that's, whatever they're randomly now, he gets pulled away by the white wife to meet some more folks who's fascinated with black people. Chris goes off and sits next to this blind white guy sitting in the front of rows of chairs by this, what do you call this thing? When you're doing the marriages outside, it looks like those little houses where the husband and wife stand to get, pronounced man and wife and whatnot. But the blind guy's there. Chris knows him, actually. Chris is a fan of his. The blind guy is a blind art collector, art dealer or collector, one of those shits too. But he's blind. But he has an assistant who's able to describe everything in vivid detail to him, so he knows and is vaguely familiar with what's going on around him, or better yet said, in front of him, art-wise, picture-wise. And he knows Chris's work, of all things, too. Says he catches a raw emotion, graininess of the black and white that he insists on taking every picture in, but yet we haven't seen Chris take one fucking picture this whole time on his big fancy camera. But alright, we're gonna take the fucking blind art dealer at his word. Doesn't matter. So now that Chris goes back upstairs after meeting the blind guy, once he's going up the stairs and makes it past halfway out of sight, all of a sudden everyone around him just stops. All these white people inside having discussions, eating, drinking, whatever, stop. They're like, huh. They're trying to see what he's up to, whatever. All for him to go up to his room, or the room he's staying in, to check on his phone, to call Rod, of all people, his boy at TSA, and see what's good with him. But then he sees that, wait a second, my phone was unplugged the whole time. How did that happen? Didn't I leave the plug-in charging, whatever, too? But back to the point at hand. All right. So where were we? Okay. So at this point now, Chris sees his phone is unplugged. Before he was able to reach Rod, which was his intention to call him and tell him this place is starting to creep me out. He starts to think maybe Georgina was hating on him just because maybe, she's the black maid. She's been with him for a while, but, I'm the black boyfriend of the girl, their daughter they love so much, so maybe she's low-key hating on me. And that does exist, internal racism, whatever the term is, too. I'm Spanish, so I'm familiar with that, too. It happens to me as well. He sees that the phone's uncharged, so he can't call Rod. Later on, when he's able to call Rod, he is able to elaborate. Listen, this place is kind of creepy. I'm kind of, perturbed by what's going on. Well, he's black. He wouldn't say perturbed. I'm kind of, bugging out because, this place is giving off the ill vibes or whatnot, too. Sorry. But Rod tells him immediately, and Rod sounds like one of those conspiracy theorists, flat earth, believers that can confirm nothing of the sorts, but they're so certain, so sure of that existing. He does say immediately to him, first thing when they speak, white people love making people sex slaves. Which, I'm not going to give in the stereotypes. I'm not going to say, well, it's true or not, or what do I know? But we have seen documentaries. We have watched, A&E, or what's that channel with all the fucking murder mysteries, docs, whatever, ID or something like that. Or Netflix. There's always fucking something coming out every month on Netflix that's like a documentary about the psychology of a killer, mass murderer, rapist, whatever, too. So it's not really beyond, you know, it's not really beyond not wanting to believe it, but it's out there enough. And, you know, white people do have that tendency to do that, to have like sex slaves and shit too. They're really into the kinky shit. But okay. When he starts describing that he's met Georgina, he's met fucking the groundskeeper, and like Bailey describes Lakeith in this case too, who's introduced to him as at this point Logan King, by the way, so a whole different identity name and such. These people creep me out. They're fucking black, but they're like zombies. I can't really connect with them whatsoever. Then Rod says the black people are probably hypnotized with fucking this Rod. He's like a goddamn detective. He's hitting all the fucking points and, you know, connecting all the dots and shit too as far as what might be going on, that Chris is just like, nah, I'm just bugging, or I just didn't get enough sleep, whatever too. You know, I'm sleeping with a white girl, you know, I can barely sleep, but she probably snores, but you know, no, I'm just imagining things, whatever. Out of nowhere, when he's back up in the room to check on the phone, Georgina randomly, out of nowhere like a fucking ninja, pulls up to apologize. But also proceeds to creep him out even more by saying, you know what? I apologize. Maybe I did unplug your phone by mistake. So I didn't want to touch it any further by mistake. I'm sorry about that, Chris. And while he's looking back at her and trying to better get a grasp of what's her problem, why does she seem so insincere, dead in the eyes, literally, zombie-like when she's saying all that to me, They start talking a little bit, and he just explains at some point, I don't know about you, but I just get nervous around too many white people. And it's almost like, again, when they were speaking and she was at the fucking picnic table serving him his fucking glass full of drink that she overspilled, somebody said something that triggered her, where she just got distracted, like all in the head all of a sudden, and then just got snapped back to reality. When he says that about, I'm just getting nervous around too many white people, it's almost like she cracked again, or she was starting to crack, because she just starts laughing, saying no, like 20 times in a row. But one big fucking tear comes out her eye. So it definitely sounds like something triggered her there. And all she can say in return is, that's not my experience at all. And we still got to keep our eyes on motherfucking Georgina, because she's really sketch, besides the groundskeeper, of course. Once Chris is done checking his phone, and after having spoken to Rod, he goes back down outside to meet some more people, because Dad's forcing him to meet more people, including the Japanese rich dude, presuming, because he's got to be rich to be there amongst those people anyway, who asks him immediately, does he feel like he has an advantage or a disadvantage having a big black cock, aka the black man's experience in this country. He's kind of at a loss for words. Luckily enough, he sees Logan, the Lakeith Stanfield character that's like hypnotized, zombified, being weird or whatever. He sees him, and he calls him over and says, hey man, you know what? Maybe you can answer this for me. He's asking me about the black man's experience in this country. Can you elaborate? And of course, Lakeith, or in this case, Logan, kind of looks around like he does, you know, like Georgina does, like the groundskeeper does, like all dead and like very zombie-esque. And he's like, oh, well, you know, if you ask me, my experience as a black man here has not been bad. It's been pretty good, actually. I can't even find the time to leave my house because I'm so busy doing my chores and fucking my way older than me white woman over here who bought me, pretty much, basically. But while he's getting into his old little speech about diffusing everything and everything's so hunky-dory because of me and my big fat white wife, Chris had suddenly taken out his phone and took a picture of him. But this is further proof that Chris is a very trash photographer, or he's only getting hired for, like, you know, hip-hop shows, or like people that have enough of a budget to afford somebody who's like ass, who's like okay at most, because he takes out his phone to sneak a fucking picture, but he's got not just the flash on, but also the fucking sound of the shutter click click the phone makes when it takes a picture too. So once he does that and the flash goes off, Logan is caught off guard. His mouth drops wide open. He's just starting to get like, it looks like he's getting scared or like something's happening to him or his brain just stopped functioning. And he starts slowly bleeding out his nose. He just looks back at Chris, and then we get the tagline of the movie, which makes all the sense in the world now. Get out. Chris is like, what do you mean get out? And then all of a sudden, fucking Logan, Lakeith Stanfield, starts screaming at him, get out, get out. And just starts charging at him, but not to attack him. It's almost like just trying to grab him and plead with him of like, get out, get the fuck out. Whatever, he's all despaired and distraught, whatever, clinging on to him, dragging him down. Everyone's scared, of course, thinking what's going to happen. But we'll find out later on too, or, we might as well be like now. You've seen the guy already at the beginning of the movie. You see him now, totally different person, different demeanor, whatever too. Like, something definitely happened to him, or he definitely got like a lobotomy, or like put in a trance since like the mom was doing that hypnosis shit, whatever too. So maybe it's either or one of those two, but he's just not himself. So when he's doing the get out shit, it's not to attack him to beat him up. It's more like to grab onto him to really get him out the way. It looks like he's more pushing him out, while he's also trying to like scream at whatever's like holding onto his brain, or like got his brain in the headlock per se. Like literally trying to get the white guy out of his fucking head by screaming get out as much as he has. We cut to fucking everybody inside the house. Everybody's around the fucking living room while somebody was in the room with him, with Logan, checking up on him. But the dad, Rose's dad, turns out he's a neurosurgeon. I think we confirmed that already earlier, but whatever. He confirms he's a neurosurgeon, and he's basically breaking down that the guy had a seizure because of the flash from Chris's phone. He was triggered by like the blinding lights and shit too. He just went down. But this isn't confirmed until a little later, but right before that, Logan comes out the room, and he's apologizes to everyone, especially Chris, for potentially scaring them as far as what happened, or his reaction to Chris taking his picture without his consent, because there is such thing as consent to Chris. Before you take it, Chris is starting to get sketch about whatever happens, or whatever's happening at this point, because it's always being like everything's being so weird around him. Maybe because he feels like, because I'm black, everyone feels like a certain way around me, or something's happening because I am black, but something real fishy's going on around here. Now, when they step out together, they make it to some little park, trail, and whatever too, sitting by, I'm guessing a lake. Yeah, it wasn't a river, it was like a lake or something like that. They're sitting by a lake, and Chris starts going in on Rose as far as like, your dad might be a neurosurgeon, but I had a cousin who had epilepsy, and what happened to this guy, Logan, that absolutely was not a seizure. That didn't happen just because I took a fucking flash photo on my camera phone. And he adds on too, like when he was coming at me, he bum rushed me, whatever, it wasn't like he was trying to fight me. It was like he knew me, and he was trying to warn me of some sorts too, to just start leaving. And then he then admits to Rose that her mom, was trying to get into his head with the hypnosis, and he's pretty sure now it did happen as far as her hypnotizing him, but she convinced him in a way mentally that was just all a dream. But he's starting to see and feel it now, and now he says he wants to leave. So presumably she takes it as, oh, you want to leave without me, you're bored, you hate me, whatever too. But then it does clear up that, you know what, no, let's leave together. I don't want to leave you behind. I don't want to feel guilty like I did about like not doing anything about my mom who got in a hit and run or whatever too. Let's you and me leave. Meanwhile, while this is happening and they're having this whole little heart to heart in the park, him and fucking Rose, the dad is at the house and gathered everybody, all the guests too, at that spot where Chris had bumped into the blind art dealer. Everybody's filling in the seats, rows and rows in front of this little, I want to say gazebo it's called. But again, the little thing that looks like a little altar where people go to get married outside. But it turns out it's a fucking auction. And an auction of what? Because everybody's playing bingo. It looks like it's just fucking grown adult bingo with like boring old white people too. But then as the camera starts to pull away, each and every time they go back to the dad, slowly but surely. And as this is going on at the same time. The pacing is really nice. As Chris is telling Rose that we need to leave, come with me, let's go. It cuts back to the dad. Finally, we get the last image of this big ass frame of Chris's picture up there next to him. He's the one being auctioned off, of all things. And the winning bet goes to the blind art dealer, of all things, because he's got no eyes. But then how do you see the black man? Oh, well, just assume he's black, whatever, too. And it just starts getting crazy because once you make it to this point, it's like, wait, Chris's picture's in that frame. They're auctioning off Chris. Am I getting like slavery vibes? Am I getting like what the fuck vibes? Like you still can't really tell up until this point because nothing's clear yet. Or nothing's really like, it's kind of like throwing shit at the wall and seeing what sticks pretty much while everything else slides off and hits the floor. That's kind of where we're at this point too. Maybe you could have guessed at this point like what's going on, but there's still more of a plot twist, better yet said. Because that's what I got initially, and that makes sense. Like, oh shit, they're going to try to sell him off as a slave or something like that, or take him hostage or whatnot too. But you'll see what happens. Chris is finally able to connect the phone, get it to work, and he sends that picture he took of Logan, Lakeith Stanfield, to his friend Rod. Rod immediately calls him as soon as he gets the picture, and he starts to tell him, hey, don't you remember this is Andre such and such from the neighborhood? We know him through one of these girls and shit too and whatever. Chris is like, oh shit, we do know him, and I knew I recognized him for some reason. And then it turns out Rod is suggesting, this whole thing's going on too, but the call drops mysteriously when they're about to like come to terms together. Rod and Chris about like, wait, what the fuck's going on here, whatever too. The call drops randomly. Fucking Rose pops up out of nowhere like a ninja again. Ninja action going on here, a lot of ghost action, and as if they're ready to go. He's in a panic. He wants to leave immediately. He says he's going to explain as soon as they get in the car, but it's important that they fucking leave right now. And she goes out to search for something else. I forget what exactly. He's still packing his shit. He's about done. But then he notices at the corner of his eye, he sees a little fucking door open in the room they're in right at that moment. He goes to see the fucking little door. This is why you don't trust fucking open doors like that, but whatever. He goes to check the door. Pulls it open. Fucking turns on the light that's in there. He sees a red box. He opens the red box. The red box, full of a bunch of pictures of course, Rose, herself, different things. But then as he starts going through the pictures, he starts seeing, wait, black dude, not me. Black dude is not me. Black dude is not me. Black dude is not me. It's like he's losing count at this point how many pictures he's flipping through and how many times it's her with another black dude that, she made no mention of probably in the 4 months they've been a couple and shit too. Black dude, not me. Black dude, not me. Black dude, not me. And then the last one in the fucking pile of all things, oh shit, another plot twist. It's Georgina. It's the black maid that's creeping him out the whole time. Like, wait a minute, what? He fucking puts it away. He like scurries to fucking make sure she doesn't see him do that. She's right there magically at the fucking doorway. And he's all bugged out like, you weren't going to tell me about all these black dudes. Like, what does this mean? Whatever, too. At this point, he doesn't really want to elaborate. He just wants to get the fuck out. Not thinking anything of her, too. He's just creeped out. Really wants to leave, but fucking Rose is playing up the part of I can't find my car keys in my whole ass purse, of anywhere I look to, I don't know where these fucking car keys are, even though girls are guilty of that shit. But he runs down the fucking staircase to the front door. He's trying to leave and shit too, waiting for Rose to get the car keys. The mom, the dad, the brother, all there too, just like staring, just like plotting, just like brooding and shit, waiting for him almost. Like they would just wait the whole fucking night for him to just run downstairs and be there so they can cut him off and everything too. And then the dad starts going into this whole fucking haiku-esque type speech of like, even the sun will die someday. We are the gods trapped in the cocoons. I don't know if specifically referring to just white people, but from the looks of it and the sounds of it, he's not including black people with that that mindset. He's definitely not including black people with that mindset. At this point now, Chris is really like desperate, sweating, gasping for air, and practically screaming at Rose to get the goddamn keys and fucking leave already. It's a standoff. It's really tense. It's the longest fucking case scenario possible for like a girl or a person to ever be really, really rummaging through their fucking purse or bag for a measly set of keys and shit. So at this point, it's like, okay, she's making it too obvious. She's probably in on it too, because there's no way in your purse that you own and you're familiar with, you cannot just dip one hand in there in less than 2 seconds and pull out your fucking keys, because you know where they are. But she's really fucking just like tossing the bag around and really just like making this all kinds of sounds inside with her fucking Altoids and her Plan B pills and shit too. Like, I'm looking for my keys. I can't find them. I swear to God, I can't find them. Whatever. And then the fucking brother, the degenerate, the fucking junkie, he takes a swing at him with some fucking wooden thing, pole looking thing he's got in his hands at Chris. And now it's confirmed it's a fucking trap. Because up until that point, she can't find the keys, then finds it and says, you know what? You didn't really think I was going to give you the keys, did you, babe? And now it's fucking on. He's like tensed up for a couple of moments, trying to see and think what the fuck he can do. Chris tries to run for the door, but the fucking bro blocks him from it too. While the mom taps the glass, ding ding, twice with the teaspoon. He's fucking paralyzed. He's back in the fucking sunken place. Oh shit. They were all in on it, goddammit. He's stuck there. Physical form is fucking paralyzed like a vegetable, pretty much too. Useless. Inside, mentally, he's seeing everything that's going on, but can't react, can't say nothing. And that's it. His body's getting dragged off somewhere. Fucking, we cut the rod, trying to reach him, call him, nothing but voicemail. Can't track down his boy. Meanwhile, his boy is getting dragged. His lifeless body almost practically is getting dragged off to see what the fuck's going to happen to him at the hand of these very experiment-worthy white folk. I mean, at worst, Ra was probably right. They're probably going to make him a sex slave and just like take turns eating his black ass or whatever. But we're in for a lot more, as you'll see. And as you'll see too, if you commit to watching the movie. Hopefully you will after this review goes up and you go through it. Or, I forgot to say at the very beginning of the episode, I've said that in every other episode up until now, I forgot to say spoilers up ahead as far as me going through the movie already, not just reviewing or recapping, literally doing both as I go, but also I'm spoiling the shit out of this movie for you potentially. Forgive me for not warning you in advance, but also you've had 5 years to watch this movie. It's on fucking Hulu for free. It's, what is it? One of those FX movies, whatever. You got to watch it with commercials, but either way, can't beat free, and especially what we're building up to at this point too. It's like 3 commercial breaks. It's not fucking gonna ruin your Saturday or whatever too. But we digress. Okay. So Rod keeps trying to reach him. We've established that already. But he can't reach him whatsoever. No voicemail, no phone, no nothing. Now, Rod is really taking the initiative as far as being the TSA agent's concerned, working for the airports and such, security. Playing the detective, putting on his fucking detective hat. And this was weird. But maybe it was Jordan Peele's idea of making a statement or something, or I don't know, sticking it to Google. Maybe they fucking turned him down or some shit too, because instead of Google searching or going to like google.com and inputting the name he wants to look up of Andre Logan, now at this point Lakeith Stanfield's character, instead of going to Google, he Bing searches, B-I-N-G, which the whole attraction to Bing initially, or back when, I don't know if they still do it, was that they would pay you for every Bing search you did instead of using Google. I don't know again if they still do it now, but I know it was like barely anything they pay you, like maybe pennies or something if you did like a Bing search instead of Google. I don't know. Bing is really like, Google is annoying enough to have to remember to be like, how do I Google something? Like, oh yeah, google.com, all the fucking Google apps now too as well too. It's kind of established. It's like the internet search. You don't internet search anything, you Google something at this point now. No one's saying, I'm going to Bing that. It's like, wait, did you develop a speech impediment? Did you say you were going to bring something? What are you going to bring? No, I'm going to Bing that. It's like, you're going to be something? What are you planning on being? What are you gonna be when you grow up? No, Bing, Bing. What, like Chandler Bing from Friends, or what the fuck you even talk about this Bing shit? Like, no, the search engine Bing. It's like, Bing. I need to Google that then. What are you talking about, this fucking Bing thing? I never heard of it. And then it turns into a whole argument if you're like really devoted to fucking Bing of all things. But who was it? I think shout outs to Rob Deerdeck. I think he was trying to really heavily push Bing for like a long time, but obviously he can't make everything work. But I digress. That's Bing talk. You know, it's just odd that of all things, Rod is searching via Bing instead of Googling straight up this Andre cat. So he does do that. He's Googling Andre, and he sees the immediate headlines as far as Andre. He's like, I know this guy. He looks familiar from the picture fucking Chris sent me. He looks familiar, like somebody I know. I knew I was right. And then boom, headline. Andre such and such, Brooklyn native missing. After going off somewhere to like Evergreen, whatever the fuck the place is called where they're at. It cuts to that. Rod is like losing his fucking mind because he was right the whole time. That was Andre. They did something to him. He's brainwashed, whatever, sex slave, whatever too. Cuts to Chris. He's finally getting out of his fucking sunken place coma, strapped to a leather chair. A really nice leather chair, by the way, too. He's like befuddled. He doesn't know where to fucking look. He's like struggling to get free and shit too. He can't because the leather's on too tight, so that's good leather. What is it? Tuscan leather, whatever the fuck they call it. But whatever Kanye said was good, like Tuscan leather. He's strapped down to it. He can't fucking move at all. Oddly enough, symbolism too counts because remember how the dad hated deer so much and he was like one down, a couple of 100,000 to go? Oddly enough, everywhere possible in the house, he's got like a deer head placed on the fucking wall like a trophy, and right directly across from Chris is what? A fucking deer head of all things, staring back at him pretty much. And then we cut down where there's an old ass TV in front of Chris. We didn't see it initially. There's an old ass TV in front of Chris. It cuts on, and of all things, it's the dad's grandfather. It's the dad's dad or grandpa, sex slave owner, whatever, on the TV. Old ass commercial talking about this thing called the Kaluga, something procedure. I don't fucking know. COAGULA. Behold the coagula. I'm gonna, just leave it at that. The coagula procedure, which ends in the fucking clip him saying, "Join us, be part of the family. We'll take care of you." Wink, wink. And then the sound of the teacup spoon, clink, clink, clink into the teaspoon plays again, and he's right back out, back into hypnosis, back to the sunken place. Now, Rod, at this point, because he's genuinely concerned about his friend, immediately goes to, I think it's like the head of his airport security department, whatever. A really pretty fucking cop lady. I didn't catch her name. I don't know who she is, but really, beautiful. Short hair, just fine as fuck. And starts elaborating and presenting his whole theory, which she sees him to be as crazy because he brought the fucking dog to the police precinct too as well to like give his story about how, my friend, he went away for a weekend with his white girlfriend. I think his parents, her parents and her turned him into a sex slave because I haven't heard from him in 2 days and I got his dog. He left it with me and I don't know what to do now too. She's such a cunt though, it turns out, because she calls over 2 other detectives to make it seem like she's taking him serious or like they're really trying to like put shit together, connect the dots, whatnot. And have to explain the whole story again, how potentially, these white people are brainwashing black people to turn them into sex slaves and whatever the fuck else too. They all have a good laugh. They laugh him right out of the fucking precinct and he's just fucking tight. But he's not so mad or tight that he just gives up because he's frustrated. No, he's proven again. He's a really good fucking friend. He cares about his friend, who happens to be black and probably in danger now, that he goes back home and starts drawing up fucking plans again and trying to understand what the fuck's happening. He can't put 2 and 2 together. It doesn't make any fucking sense, he says at some point too, but I know something's going on pretty much. And we go that. Right, so he's going into his whole thing inside, like in his apartment, like, fuck, something's not making sense here. What do I do? So then he just thinks, at that point, Why not, instead of calling his number, let me try to reach her number? Which he does. He calls her fucking Rose. She answers within 2 rings to make it seem like nothing's wrong, nothing's going on. But then when he starts asking about Chris, Rose says, oh, he didn't tell you? He left like 2 days ago. I haven't seen him since. And just acts like she cares over the phone, at least makes it sound convincingly enough that she cares or she's worried about Chris. You know, he left, but she still cares. She's still worried about whatever he might be doing and whatnot too. When Rod doesn't buy her shit, doesn't believe her as far as what she's saying, or pretending to be like she misses him and shit too, says hold on, comes right back, decides to record the call so he can present that as evidence to the cops finally, since they're going to laugh him off anyway if he comes back with more shit. She notices apparently, or she kind of puts 2 and 2 together and figures, you know what, he's probably recording me, so I'm going to throw him off and talk about how you wanted to fuck me while you were clearly seeing that I was with my boyfriend, your friend Chris, but still trying to hit that and whatnot. Why don't you just admit it now? He ends up hanging up. He's all fucking worried, like, God damn it, she's a genius. I can't fucking get past the fucking white shield and whatnot. Cut back to Chris. Chris, awakening back up from the sunken place, is ripping the shit out of the fucking the armrest of the leather chair he's strapped to. And then the TV cuts back on again, and it's the blind guy, the blind art dealer he made friends with, that appraises work, whatever too, and legit blind because you can see it in his eyes. He can't see shit. He's on the fucking TV, and he starts breaking down the preparation, step by step, phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, of what he's going to be fucking put through today. And that he's the lucky one that he chose him, Chris, to be the one that he's going to inherit new eyes from, of all things. The transplantation, it's called, phase 3. The guy emphasizes he's lucky. And he starts elaborating on the transplantation. All these phases, 1 and 2, leading up to number 3, which is where they're gonna fucking pretty much turn him into a zombie, like the ones he's seen outside with Georgina, the groundskeeper and such too, and Logan. He's gonna still be alive, but he's gonna be like one of them. Meanwhile, he's gonna fucking swap his good black eyes for his bad, blind, dead white guy eyes too. So then imagine that Chris with fucking the dead white guy's blind eyes too. Can't see shit, so what's he fucking good for anyways? But he's explaining it to him. He's going to be a zombie. He's going to be under his control. He's going to listen to only him because he's the one that won the auction, the chance to buy and fucking own Chris of all fucking people. I want those things you see through, is as clear as he makes it. But at least the white guy does make it clear. Well, he's probably just saying it because he's like, sure, oh, well, you're going to be dead. Who cares anyway? Chris asks him at some point, why us? And he says, I don't care about color. I just care about the color I'm going to see now once I get your eyes in my fucking head. So shut the fuck up and go back into the fucking sunken place. And then, boom, right there. The blind guy's getting prepped for surgery. So they slicing his head open with some scalpel action. Always fucking fun to watch. And then Chris is back in the sunken place as we established right now. Or so we think. Finally, another plot twist. Because this movie's full of them. You don't know which fucking way you're going. Most, if not all the time, which is great to fucking do. And movies, nowadays, Hollywood, shouldn't be scared of doing anymore with movies to keep us on our fucking toes, at the edge of our seats, etc., etc. While the blind guy's getting prepped to have his head sliced open, scalpel action deep inside, exposing the brain, Dad's a neurosurgeon. He knows what to fucking do as far as like pretty much lobotomize somebody, black in this case, to take out what they need. That's essential out of them. Put them into the white people who need new body parts and shit too to actually function properly. Meanwhile, sewing the black people back together and turn them into zombies because of what they done to them. He sends out the brother, the douchebag, college frat boy brother with the crazy hair, to get Chris from the fucking room. Get him out of the fucking leather chair, bring him in to fucking prep him for the transplant, the eye transplant, literally. Now, we don't see this until whatever happens, which is pretty much the brother in the room, prepping the wheelchair they're going to carry Chris out into the fucking operating room and table and such, while he's got his back turned. All of a sudden, wait. Chris's hand fucking moves. He gets out of the chair on his own without no help from the fucking brother. He grabs a nearby ball, which is like really hard. It's too big to be a pool ball, probably like a bocce ball or something like that. And just fucking swings and wrecks the fucking brother's head. One shot, he's whimpering while he's down, gives him one more shot to the fucking head. It seems like the brother's dead, but he's just laying there fucking in a head full of blood. So he makes his great escape. And how did he do it? Chris is fucking smart enough to rip away at the fucking leather material on the chair and stuck some of the stuffing in his ear, so that when they played the teacup sound effect after the blind guy was talking to him and telling him, prepare for the worst, asshole, he had stuck cotton in his ear so he wouldn't fucking have to hear the fucking trigger that would have to drive him back into the sunken place. So he played it fucking smart. At this point, the dad is ready to fucking make the transplant happen. He's already got the other guy's head sliced open, but he seems to be worried that he's not seeing his son fucking going to pick up Chris, or he hasn't seen his son yet. So he drops what he's doing. He goes to step outside to see if, what's this fucking guy doing at all. He looks around. He looks away once, comes back. Oh shit, it's Chris. Charging at him and stabbing him through the fucking neck with one of the deer heads, the antlers, right through his fucking chin. So then there goes the dad. He's fucking clutching at himself, trying to see if he can still make it to the fucking operating table of all things. So he might have really been a good doctor. He was dedicated like that. But he stumbles and falls. As he falls, he knocks like a candle or some sort of light onto like one of the little bed sheets that was on the operating table. As he's leaving the room and Chris don't bother to look back, the shit is on fire already. So that's just going to go up in smoke literally. He runs back up to the kitchen. Georgina's there, sees all the blood on him, starts running away herself. I guess she just saw him covered in blood or realized what he had done. She just starts running away. Confronts the mom that's right by the door almost to make it out the fucking house. She looks at him, he looks at her. They both look at the fucking teacup with the spoon. She goes to run and grab the fucking teacup, but he smacks it out of her hand, breaks it. They're looking at each other. They're going to confront each other. Is he really going to hit a woman? Is he really going to potentially kill a woman? But then she tries to get the one up on him, grabs some fucking sort of letter opener, scissor, whatever, too, stabs him through the hand. He's able to fight through the pain, takes the fucking same knife and stabs her in the fucking head, leaves her for dead. She's fucking dead and gone, thank God. As he's making it to the front door, it looks like Chris is finally in the clear. He's going to fucking leave, nothing to fucking tie him back down to what's going on there, this lunacy in there too. All of a sudden, is he literally grabbing the doorknob to open the door, twist and turn, and walk his ass out of there? Comes the fucking brother out of nowhere, out of his fucking head trauma injury that he got from the ball he was smashing against his head earlier. He's able to get Chris in a headlock. It looks like the jiu-jitsu training he was through was paying off, because he's fucking choking Chris slowly to death. But then Chris miraculously is able to grab the scalpel, whatever he had to, out of his fucking pocket and stabs him in the leg. The brother's quick to fucking let loose of the grip. And then Chris just goes in, knocks him down, I think stabbed him one more time, and then just starts stomping away at his head to make sure he's dead this time too, so he can finally leave the house. Now, as he's able to leave the house, presumably walk out that door, we cut back to Rose, who of all things, headphones on, dressed in all white like she's an angel. She's got nothing to do with any of the lunacy happening in the house, of all things too. Meanwhile, her whole basement's on fire, but okay, whatever, white people. She got headphones on, listening to, what's that song from Dirty Dancing, I think? Had the time of my life, whatever, too, enjoying herself, being white as fuck, on the table, Indian pose, whatever, with her, I think they had to deal with like Microsoft or something like that, because it's all Microsoft tablets and computers, and she's also doing a Bing search instead of Google, so whatever, that's just crazy. But she's also on Bing, of all fucking things, and she's searching, oddly enough, top NCAA prospects. She's wasting no time, because she's assuming right now at this point, like, Chris is dead, or he's gonna get turned to like one more slave, helping hand around the house. So Rose is busy, headphones on, Patrick Swayze action, had the time of my life, searching brand new fucking black boyfriends, big black cock, courtesy of the top NCAA prospects. She finds one she likes a lot. Looks like he has a huge fucking cock in his pants. Big, tall, built muscles and all that too. Chris, in the meanwhile, is able to make his way to the very same white car that took Logan and or Andre hostage, with the first thing playing as soon as he fucking turns the engine on, the Run Rabbit Run song. He's able to fucking call 911 while he's fucking peeling off. Mind you, he has no license. He admitted that. So he's just driving blindly to see if he can, like, make it out of there alive. He's calling 911, trying to tell him where he's at, what's happened, whatever, too. While he's doing that, he fucking hits Georgina with the car. She goes stumbling that way, like this fucking cars in this movie, like, have so much G-force that they just send people flying like it was a cheat code in Grand Theft Auto, something like that. He's over here, and then Georgina's like a mile away. He's got to run away too. He's like conflicted, like, is this going to be like my mom, where I didn't call nobody when she was dying on the side of the road? Am I going to leave her there to die too? It's like, fuck, I might as well too. So he does that. He runs over. He goes to grab her, and he fucking puts her in the fucking car, presumably to take her to a hospital, or at least tell the police that, you know, hey, you got people believing in modern day slavery over here with black people being hostages, sex slaves, whatever, or at least getting eye transplants against their will and shit. I'm not even getting paid for that shit. All I got was some white pussy for 4 months. Is that some sort of down payment of sorts for my fucking eyes to get traded out from me into a blind white guy, and then I get blind white eyes and I can't even fucking be a servant? Because what am I going to see? How am I going to serve fucking iced tea in the afternoon on a hot summer day? How am I going to do that properly with no fucking blind eyes and shit? But then, yeah. So as he loads it back into the car, Rose, with headphones on and Patrick Swayze going heavy, is able to hear the impact, and she's startled. So then now, all of a sudden, because she can't smell the smoke emanating from a basement, goes to check, sees the house is on fire. She's not disturbed at all, though, too, because she goes and grabs the GAT, the big fucking long scope fucking thing, to try to hunt down and see what the fuck's going on, because presumably she stumbled upon all the dead bodies that used to be her fucking family, somebody that I used to know and shit too. Grabs the GAT, she's fucking enraged, like, I'm gonna fucking kill these motherfuckers, whatever too, I'm gonna get them and shit. Running out the house is on fire already. She's about to take a shot as Chris is leaving, but she can't fucking do it. He's already hauling ass too fast for her, and says grandma for some reason, okay? Which is weird, out of nowhere. So now we cut back to Chris. He's driving fast, hauling ass. Like, it seems like that's it. He's made it clear. And on top of that, he's been able to save Georgina, of all things, because she's like passed out, probably drop her off at the hospital, then be on his way, right? This is where the fucking movie, the genius of this fucking movie, this Jordan Peele guy, whatever, just keeps shining through, just keeps busting through. Like an already established hymen of what's to expected to come at the end of this movie. No, just keeps busting through. It's like you didn't even wait to fucking have missionary. He just went in and busted your hymen with like 2 fingers, 3 if you're freaky like that too, and just said, here I am. Here's where your life starts officially, because now you're going to experience pleasure, or at least mentally some stimulation here going on. Because again, plot twist. Now Georgina is waking up out of a fucking coma after getting hit by a car and shit too. She's like coming back to whatever, sees what's happening, realizes what happened, and then she screams at him, you ruined my house, and starts attacking Chris, like punching at him, like fucking allegedly. She starts just wailing at him. Fucking Georgina starts like punching him too. Chris is a terrible photographer. I don't care how much the movie wants to build up that he's like so good that he's able to fucking afford an apartment in Brooklyn, presumably, and in a warehouse or whatever, too, because the rent is so goddamn sky high there, too. Of course, this motherfucker don't got a license, so of course he can't drive or shouldn't be legally allowed to drive, but he is driving, hauling ass in a Porsche, of all things. He can't get distracted for the slightest bit because then he just can't complete the task. Next thing you know, Georgina's punching at him, too. They crash. Finally, she's dead. She fucking smacked the head off the windshield. Off the dashboard, whatever, too. He lives. He's got his head stuck on a fucking horn. Now, of all things, on top of that, in a crash, hurt, hand stabbed, and going through the trauma of potentially having had his eyes yoked out of him for the sake of a blind white guy wants anybody else's eyes put inside him so he can see again. Rose caught up to the fucking car. Because as he starts trying to get out of the car, takes a step outside, bang! There's a fucking bullet flying at him. It's Rose, of course. So now she's there. She's pretty much telling him, hey, it's done. You gotta fucking stop right now. You're gonna fucking do this whether you like it or not. Oh yeah, the other guy's dead, so, well, okay, now you're gonna die pretty much. And then instead of shooting him, she goes ahead and she has the fucking groundskeeper there like a dog ready to attack and pounce. Attack him. And he does. He fucking spears him. He tackles him like, he was Goldberg or some shit like that. Or Edge, I don't know who you like that does a spear like that too. Goldberg has the best spear, but he's like, so overrated otherwise, but whatever. Tackles him to the ground. Instead of trying to beat him up, he's trying to like take his eyes out of his skull and shit, pressing his thumbs right into his fucking eyes. And as he does that, Chris, terrible driver, horrible photographer, bad boyfriend, it seems like, too, on top of that. But he is smart enough and bright enough to take a fucking photo with his camera phone with the flash on at all times. So he's one of those guys. Flash on always, ba-ching, every time he takes a picture, so it's too obvious. He does that to the guy, blinds him. He like wakes up out of his fucking coma. He's like, he can see what the truth is all over again now. He turns around. He goes back to fucking her. And he says, let me finish it. Grabs the gun. She trusts him blindly. Oddly enough, whatever. Grabs the gun from her. But then instead of shooting fucking Chris, he turns around. Bang! Bang! Shoots her right through the fucking stomach. And he's so sickened. He's so upset what he's done. What's been done up until this point, and now that he's newly free again from the fucking hypnosis he's been under for so long, he just grabs the fucking shotgun, whatever the fuck it is, long nose rifle, and blows his own head off. So the ground creeper's fucking dead too. Presumably Rose is dead. She's shot through the stomach. Chris seems to now finally be in the clear. So it seems like instead of their grandparents dying, or Rose's grandparents dying, or great-grandparents, whatever, they may have just transferred brains or whatever too into Georgina and the groundskeeper to keep them alive in some way, shape, or form. It seems like that, because why else would she say grandma when he sees that he's like peeling away with Georgina in the car and have like that much control over fucking the groundskeeper too. So now that Chris seems to be in the clear again, Rose is still alive. She's reaching for the gun because she won't go down without a fight, apparently. She's got like superpowers. She's like an Avenger practically. We hear and see a fucking cop car pulling up on them. It's like, oh fuck, now it's over. Now we're in a fucking part of wherever the fuck it is that's, predominantly white. He's in a lot of fucking trouble because he's all bloody and scarred with a fucking white bloody girl next to him. So he's definitely going to jail. They're burying him under the jail. He's already ready to give himself up. He's like, on his knees, hands up over his head, ready to just fucking comply, whatever, too, ready to get beaten or killed, presumably. And then you see the side of the car door open, of the police car open. It says airport. Wait a minute. Then we get the pleasant surprise. It's fucking Rod. Chris, whatever, pulls up on him, whatever, too. That's it. Brings him back into the vehicle. Oh, shit, Rod's there to save the day. He knew how to just figure out how to get there to him. Saved him just in the nick of time. Rod was pretty fucking funny throughout. I wish I remembered his name right now. He's probably a comedian, but he was really fucking funny throughout the movie. Delivery, jokes, and all that too. Like, really perfectly casted. They sit in the cop car for a little bit without saying anything, obviously because Chris is traumatized and Rod's just glad to fucking have found his friend again, presuming he was dead and shit too. And then after that moment of silence, they just he breaks the ice. Rod and says, I told you not to go to that fucking house. I told you. And of course, Chris can't even handle or bear the thought of what had just happened. Oh shit, it really is picking up outside. Goddamn, they weren't lying. He can't really handle the thought of what just happened, so it's a joke. I guess he wants to laugh, but he really can't. And then we get clarified, of course. Well, he asks, well, how the fuck did you even find me? How'd you even know how to track me down? And he just says, TS motherfucking A. We handle shit. because apparently the cops he actually went to get some help from were just gonna laugh him off or treat him like a joke. But the weird thing is, though, this is the end of the movie now. I spoil it for you already, so just in case. Now we see that they pull out, they're leaving, whatever, and he's looking back at Rose, who's there the whole time, still living and breathing, barely hanging on. But I mean, she got shot through the stomach, she's still hanging on, and still able to look back at them the whole time. So they just leave her there, hoping she'll die slow, or kind of like remembering what had happened to his mom, as far as like he never called the cops, he was too busy watching TV, like he said, and just left her there for dead when he should have done something about it. But maybe that was it. But then if I'm them and I went through all that whole weekend with her family, and because of her family I could have almost been unwilling organ transplant donor, whatever, too, I would have at least told Rod, you know what? Kick this thing in reverse and run over her fucking head real quick and make sure she's dead, like a zombie. Like, you gotta shoot him in the head and make sure they're fucking completely dead. I would have done that. Or she can't reach the gun, she's like broken in half, and like how impactful the gunshot was that split her in two. Take the gun from her, just fucking one in the head, and that's it too. But they just leave her there to fucking like crawl away back home, or I don't know. Thank God it was Jordan Peele that made this movie, because any other director would have probably left that open as a cliffhanger to like a sequel. And she's still terrorizing people as like a amputee fucking white girl, no legs white girl. She's like gaining all this sympathy from black guys because she's got no legs, but her pussy's still there somehow. She lets them fuck and then convinces them to like be willing organ donors and finds another white family. I don't know too, but thank God this is where it ends. That's it. And we just assume that she's going to slowly die alone, if anything, too, on the side of the road, like a fucking deer of all things. But that is in its entirety. We ran through the fucking gamut and did it. Clap it up. It's all right. Don't be ashamed or embarrassed or too proud to do it. Of Get Out! 5th year anniversary review brought to you by me, Who This, here on twitch.tv/Who This Is One. First, for the uncut, uncensored, uncircumcised version of this episode. When I watched it later on my own, randomly one time before the review too, I remember really enjoying myself with just like the building up, the plot twist at the plot twist, whatever too, the acting, the character development too. All of a sudden turns and everything implied as far as being scary, not literally just a gore fest, whatever too. It's just beautifully done. It's just wonderful. And even like at an hour and 40 something minutes, it's like an hour and 40 minutes you don't even really feel like that. It's just kind of there. Next thing you know, you moved on to this, you advanced this far, and it's like, oh shit, this is over already? Kind of good feeling about that, right? Everything's built up nicely to like, this scene matters, calling back to that part from earlier on. This character became that character. What does this mean? What does that mean? Even just like something literally as like how the scenes are put together, built up and framed too. It's just all chef's kiss as far as like just beautifully packaged, nice little bow on top. Here's Get Out, a properly fucking packaged movie that scares you, can make you laugh, can make you think, can make you wonder. All in all, does a really good job of, most importantly, entertaining your ass. That is my opinion, of course. That's how I feel about it. So in that case, without further ado, in giving it a final score for Get Out, today being the 5th anniversary review episode 50 of Who This Been Watching. Get Out. Not just yet, not you. I mean, Get Out the movie. Get Out's the movie title we're talking about. 5 years after its release. I cannot do myself any justice properly without giving this score that it so deserves to Get Out of all things. Before we get out of this fucking episode, get out of this fucking stream for today. Get Out, from me, deserves nothing short of a 2 out of 2 possible ears. If I could give it 3, I would. Am I calling it a masterpiece, a classic, timeless, epic piece of cinematography? I guess you could say so. Why not? I'd be brave enough, bold enough to say, you know what? I like this shit. I really like this shit. I love this shit. I'd watch this shit repeatedly continuously just because I enjoy myself that much. It's that different, it's that outside the box, it's that unique, it's that scary sometimes, implied without having to literally be like, someone with a mask on, someone fucking, picking organs off a pitchfork or something, or whatever the fuck else, or like skipping rope with like someone's intestine or whatever, too. It works, it hits different, and it hits all the fucking points it needs to. I cannot imagine anyone not enjoying this movie. That's just my opinion, of course, but then again, I could see the point from where a certain demographic who can't identify with the racial tension and or issues implied in this movie throughout may not be able to see the point, may not be able to enjoy because of that, or worse, like they did stupidly with Black Panther, a lot of white folks. This isn't a judgment against white folks, I'm not saying that, but stupidly, like a lot of white people did with Black Panther of all things, which is a comic book movie, they started feeling quote unquote white guilt about even trying to see the movie in theaters. So a lot of them fucking, I wouldn't say all tried to sabotage, but like kind of like what they did with Captain Marvel, where they like review bombed the movie because a lot of men were offended or insulted by a woman being a lead character in a superhero movie of all things, which there was proof in that, at least. They tried to do the same thing, I guess, with Black Panther, but mostly white people, or like, at least enough white people made it clear, like, I feel uncomfortable being in the theater watching Black Panther around mostly black people, when really that probably wasn't the case, to be honest. I mean, it was great, and I think it's still the highest grossing Marvel movie of all of them, which rightfully so. It's a great movie. I mean, I know I mentioned Civil War and Avengers Endgame and something else as my favorite Marvel movies. I forgot to mention Black Panther because it is that cool and so well put together. It's definitely up there. I would think maybe there was a lot of white guilt associated with perhaps Get Out when it came out. Because again, when I saw it in the theaters, I was just too drunk to notice like if there was more of a black to white or white to black ratio in the audience. But I can see that happening, unfortunately. So a lot of people not giving it a chance solely off of that issue. But that's besides the point. Listen, I say, according to me, who has been watching, is what I'm saying. What I say goes here, goddammit. This thing, Get Out. Jordan Peele, job well done, sir. Wish I had a fucking applause button, sound effects to cue up to. You deserve your flowers while you can still smell them as far as this movie, Get Out, is concerned. Because it's that great. Again, 2 years out of fucking a possible 2. That's what it deserves. That's what it's getting. And that's what I'm giving it here today. Live. Who this been watching? Thank you for tuning in today on twitch.tv/whodisiS1. You see the thing right there at the bottom. You see my logo up there at the... Oh, shit. God damn it. How do I... You see the logo up there, my fucking head in black and white up there at the top, the logo. I'm making it clear. I like this fucking movie a lot. I'll always be honest here, too, with what I do and don't like about something. If I had to name something I don't like about this... The only drawback I'd say would maybe be at 15 minutes shorts of being 2 hours. Might be a little long, but again, it's that hour and 40 something minutes that doesn't drag. You don't feel like dropping out at some point, or it's not like some parts are like too long, some parts could have been shorter like that. It's kind of, everything's kind of evenly balanced, everything kind of flows into one another, and it works enough just fine. So maybe that'd be like a slight complaint. That's about it, really. But otherwise, job well fucking done. Amazing fucking work by Jordan Peele. I know he's done more after the fact too as well. I just haven't had the chance to see any of it too. I think Us, there might have been another one too as well. But this right here for him, this fucking Get Out shit, great fucking start. So thank God he did a good job with this one, so Hollywood wasn't like, get the fuck out of here with this bullshit you put out, or you made us fucking fund and budget, so now you'll never fucking make another movie again. No, thank God that didn't happen. It was so fucking good. What is it, like 98% on Rotten Tomatoes as far as like an average consensus of the critics' reviews and scores that this got, that it deserves. Absolutely. Jordan Peele, great fucking job. Danielle Kaluuya, great fucking job. Lakeith Stanfield, great fucking job, bro.